how much wealth has been accumulated by churches while their congregations struggle. If these texts are authentic, Jesus saw it all coming. Perhaps the most beautiful teaching in these hidden texts is this line preserved in Ethiopian tradition. Let your silence speak louder than sermons. Let your body become a living prayer. This teaching reframes everything. Faith is not about performing rituals or memorizing scripture. It's about transforming every breath, every action, every moment into an offering of love. This is a Jesus who speaks not from a throne, but from the wilderness. Not through institutions, but through the human heart itself. The Ethiopian texts describe a spirituality that is deeply personal, radically simple, and completely subversive to organized power. And for centuries, only Ethiopia remembered the words, or so their tradition claims. Chapter 3: The Prophecies of the Forgotten Fire. The Ethiopian scriptures contain a prophecy that feels impossibly relevant today. According to these texts, Jesus told his disciples that when organized religion becomes corrupt and hollow, his spirit will rise again, not from palaces or cathedrals, but from deserts, from mountains, and from the children of those society has enslaved and forgotten. These traditions record him saying, "My voice will return through those the powerful ignore." Truth will come not from golden pulpits, but from broken hearts that still believe. This completely inverts the structure of institutional Christianity. It suggests that the closest thing to God's truth might not be found in the Vatican or mega ministries, but in the quiet faith of the forgotten. Ethiopia's faith remained wild, uncontrolled. This fire, Ethiopian theologians explain, is the fire of spiritual awakening. It strips away everything false until only truth remains. It burns not the world, but the lies we tell ourselves, the masks we wear, the idols we worship. In a world drowning in materialism, addiction, and spiritual emptiness, this prophecy feels less like ancient mysticism and more like a roadmap for our times. Perhaps the return of Christ has nothing to do with the sky splitting open and everything to do with people finally waking up to the truth that's been inside them all along. This, Ethiopia's unique history, explains how these texts survived when so many others were destroyed. The country became Christian in the 4th century, before Rome officially did. It was never conquered by European colonizers during the age of imperialism. Its faith developed independently, shaped not by political councils, but by desert monks and mystical practices. While Western Christianity became entangled with empire, with Constantine, with crusades, with colonization, Ethiopia's faith remained wild, uncontrolled, deeply spiritual. And so the mystical teachings that Rome feared, the angels, the spiritual battles, the direct encounters with the divine, all of this remained alive in Ethiopian Christianity. The forgotten fire never went out. It simply waited in the highlands in ancient monasteries where monks still pray in languages most of the world has forgotten. Chapter 4: The Lost Gospel of Peace. The version of Christianity most people know centers on a single brutal image: Jesus nailed to a cross, suffering and dying for humanity's sins.
Many people have talked about these missing years and have tried to speculate about what Jesus might have done during that time.
But deep within Ethiopian monasteries lies another narrative entirely, one found in what some scholars call the Gospel of Peace. This text tells a radically different story. Ethiopian tradition claims that Jesus was never crucified. Now, before dismissing this outright, consider what we're actually being told here. This isn't a modern conspiracy theory. This is an ancient Christian tradition preserved by one of the oldest Christian churches in the world. According to this gospel tradition, when the authorities came to arrest him, Jesus, following the example of the prophets before him, withdrew into the wilderness. He did not submit to execution. He did not become a martyr. Instead, Ethiopian texts suggest he continued teaching his disciples about healing, purity, and living in harmony with God's creation. He spoke with what these traditions called the angels of air and water, teaching that the earth itself was sacred. Over time, his disappearance was misunderstood. Stories changed as they passed through different cultures, different languages, different political contexts. And eventually, the narrative of crucifixion took root, not necessarily because it was true, but because it served a purpose.